Recently, I called a journalist, online journalist. And I said, how are you? He said, fine. I said, my name is Paul Adom-Otchere. He said, hey, Chief, how are you? I said, I'm good. I said, listen, I want you to be posting some of our Good Evening Ghana stories, but I don't want you to use our videos independently. If we want you to use a video, we'll give it to you, but I don't like the way you pick our videos and use it. So we will give you the story. When we want you to use a story, we will pay you for it. How much will you charge? Then he went like, oh, no, we don't charge. I said, oh, calm down. You can charge. It's your online platform. I don't know why media people are like that. It's your online platform. You have not asked me to come and pay. You have not asked me to come and pay. I am offering to pay. There's nothing wrong with it. You've created an online platform. I want my story on it. I pay. It's as simple as that. So I told him, lawyers charge for their services. Why are you doing, so you'll be doing your work free? What are you talking about? You've created an online platform. I want my story online. I can put my story on Good Evening Ghana Facebook page. I do that. But I think that if I put it on your platform as well, it will aid my story. How much will you charge? Oh, no, we don't charge. I don't get it. I mean, Kweku is giving me pressure to move on. But I have to tell you this story relating to this charging matter. Many years ago, I was called by an important commission in the country. And I had heard all of these rumors going around about Paul Adom-Otchere, and when you go on Good Evening Ghana, you charge you. And they haven't brought any person who I charge, but they used to say that a lot about me. I think now they've stopped, but they used to say it. And at that time, it was a peak of the matter. So I was invited to this meeting with my boss, Mr. Haruna. We went to the commission, we sat down. Fortunately for me, one of the commission leaders had called me about Good Evening Ghana that week. So we went in and they said to me that, we have invited you here to assist with what media people are reported to be doing. I said, what are they reported? They said they've been charging money to appear on their platform. Then they quickly added that, oh, we are not talking about you. I knew they were talking about me, but they said they are not talking about you. We mean being an experienced journalist, can you help with this analysis? I said, yes, I can help. And I said, okay, good. Mr. Haruna was sitting there. And I said, do you mean the state broadcaster or you mean the private broadcaster? That was an important question. And they answered that it's the private broadcaster. The state GBC doesn't do that. I said, great. You mean the private broadcaster? They said, yes. I said, okay, so an example is you come on Good Evening Ghana and I say, pay me money before you come on Good Evening. Is that also? They said, yes, something like that. I said, good. I said, okay, I run Good Evening Ghana 3 times a week. It's a private station, Metro TV. It's not government, it's private. All the resources there is private. It's not government. Now, if you call me that you want to come on Good Evening Ghana, I am entitled to charge you. Then they went quiet. Then Mr. Haruna was nodding his head because I had discussed with him already. They went very quiet. I said, yes, I'm doing my Good Evening Ghana. I have not asked you to come. You call me that you want to come. I'm entitled to charge. And I pointed to him. I said, like you, mister, last week you called me that you have written a book, didn't you? He said, I did. And you said you want Good Evening Ghana. I am entitled to charge you. Do you know why? Because there's TV3, there's GH1. There are many TV stations. The reason why you are calling me to come on Good Evening Ghana is because I have done something to Good Evening Ghana that you like. That's why you want to come. The doing of the thing is my resources. I will charge you for it. There's nothing wrong with that. They were looking at me. Mr. Haruna was nodding because I told him. I said, there's nothing wrong with that. I will charge you if you want to come on Good. Recently, a presidential candidate called me. It was Adom-Otchere or something. And I asked him, how much will you charge? He wants to come on Good Evening Ghana. But if a presidential candidate Adom-Otchere calls me, I will charge him. And I will charge him any amount of money I want. He can decide he wants to pay or he doesn't want to pay. That's up to me. And when I charge the money, it just has to go into the books. This is the charge for this is the charge for that, this is the charge for that. Not that we charge. We don't charge. But there's nothing wrong with charging. And then I told them there also that when people come on Good Morning Ghana and Good Evening Ghana, we pay them. They said, really? Mr. Haruna said, yes, we give them petrol. It's a token payment. It's a token. But we give it to them, petrol. So it's not a big payment. There's a particular guest. He's a security and intelligence analyst. Anytime he comes on this show, I pay him. And he'll call me and say, Paul, I'm coming, how much? I said, oh, Doc, I beg today, how much? He will mention the figure. I said, I'll pay. I pay from my own resources. I pay him. There's another professor of the university. Whenever he comes on this show, I pay him. He will demand it, and I pay him. So when I call him, Professor, come and explain the thing to my guest, I am borrowing from his intellectual resources. So I have to pay him. If, on the other hand, he calls me and says, Paul, I have some matter which I want to discuss on Good Evening Ghana, I am entitled to charge him. Whilst we don't charge, we are entitled to charge. So I think journalists should open up themselves a little bit. You are working. If you are working for Joy FM, you can't charge money that Joy FM should be charging. No, you can't. But if you have an independent program like that, I can charge money and I may have to pay Metro TV or have to tell Metro TV that this is how much the person pays. When we run commercials, they pay. I mean, it was when TV3 started doing television that people understood that a business crew can come and cover a story and you pay. You pay for it. And I got into trouble the other day with John Benjamin, the former British High Commissioner, because I was emceeing Imani's 10th anniversary. He said something that really upsets me, so I decided I won't MC the show anymore. Many people were there. Franklin Kujo was there. He said, John Benjamin, he had just arrived in the country. He was criticizing journalists, and the journalists were sitting there clapping. Sometimes I don't understand what happens with some Ghanaian journalists. I don't really get it. I don't know whether they feel inferior or what. I don't understand it. Some of them, not all journalists, some of them. They were clapping when John Benjamin was blasting and abusing them. They were clapping. John Benjamin said he comes to British High Commission, he calls journalists to come and do a story, and then after the story, instead of them to go back to the office, they are waiting for what he said is soli. We call it soli, but he says soli. So as MC, I looked at this Obroni guy who I had seen just a week earlier at my former school, University of London, where he had been oriented. So I just went to the school. I go there often when I'm in London. And I was going, they said, the guy who is going to the orientation, he's coming to Ghana as High Commissioner. I said, well, let me go and see him. So I went to see him. I said, I'm Ghanaian. I hear you're coming to Ghana. I shook hands with him. He didn't remember. So I had seen him then. Then I come to Alisa Hotel. This guy is talking, and he's just talking down on journalists anyhow. And I look at him, and I say, hey, what's wrong with this guy? So I take the mic and say, I'm not going to MC this show anymore. Now, Mr. John Benjamin, it was in Alisa. Many people were there. You can ask them. I said, Mr. John Benjamin, when you call journalists to come to your office to do your story, why do you think you shouldn't pay for it? Did they tell you that they want the story? You call them to come. So we sit in Metro, we have our lineup, we are doing it today, get a call. Oh, British High Commission is to come. I say, what am I doing? Do we have Parliament? Do we have this High Commission? We don't have people. Okay, you go. Then I say, High Commission, when they come, you pay them. And you say it is corruption? I was totally shocked. What is corruption about that? Do you know how much CNN charges for the stories they do? What is corruption? Why do they always want to put journalists down and make them look like they are some thieves? You are not thieves, journalists. You are not thieves. You are doing your work. And anybody who wants to benefit from your work is entitled to pay you. Why are you afraid of it? This online guy, I called him. He said, no, Paul, we don't charge. I said, you have to charge me. I have called you and said, I want my story on your web. So you tell me, Mr. Adom-Otchere, for every Good Evening Ghana story you do, you pay us 200 cedis. Fair enough. I can say, 200, I beg. Can I pay 100? Yes. But I don't charge. You are just going to put the story on the web just for free? Is it my web? It's your web. It's not mine. So we need to understand these things and then deal with it. Okay.